measures to
Ms.
avoid
Agatha Sangma.
human wildlife.
Thank you, Honourable Chairman, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this very important amendment bill, on the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill of 2022. The Centre has proposed an amendment in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 to enforce provisions of an international convention to prevent trade in endangered species, but the changes which it intends to introduce in the existing law may by default do more harm than good, as certain experts have flagged how it would allow commercial trade in live elephants and even reduce the protection of certain species such as Asiatic jackal, the striped hyena and the Bengal fox. The bill, which was sent to the Parliamentary Standing Committee for further examination, seeks to amend the existing Act for better implementation of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, the CITES. It proposes to rationalize various schedules of the law to fulfill India's international obligation for the sake of the protection of wild animals, birds and plants. So, on the positive side, it is intended to ensure that the provisions with respect to the Convention are part of the domestic law. Besides, the bill aims to also make the law simple by streamlining the schedules. However, there are certain issues which needs to be addressed. So, the existing Act specifically prohibits the trade in wild animals, including captive and wild elephants, but an exception has been carved out in the bill by excluding live elephants from the general prohibition contained in Section 43. The implication of the same is that the commercial sale and purchase is no longer prohibited under the Act. Clause 27 proposes to permit the commercial trade of elephants, legalizing elephant trade for the first time in 50 years, which is a very dangerous and a regressive move. The section also permits the commercial display of trophies and captive animals, and even permits the transfer or transportation of animals, trophies and animal articles. Sir, I humbly request the Honourable Minister to reconsider these sections and not legalize the trade in live elephants. So the bill also has provisions of excessive delegation and unrestricted powers of the central government to declare species as vermin, unlike the existing law. Once a wild animal is declared as vermin, it enjoys no legal protection and has the same status as domestic animals. It can be killed, traded and tamed. Species such as the civets, the common fox, jackal, martens, Andaman wild pig, among others, cannot be declared as vermin under the Act in view of the statutory protection. However, as the bill amends Section 62 by stating that only species listed in Schedule 1 cannot be declared as vermin, while species listed in Schedule 2 can be declared as vermin. Schedule 2 in the bill includes the striped hyena, the Andaman wild pig, the Indian fox, Bengal fox, jungle cat, Asiatic jackal, among other species, which, if declared as vermin, can pose serious threat to their existence in the wild. So we live at a time where we are threatened by climate change and ecological devastations, and it is a time where more species must be included in the first schedule. Instead, the opposite might happen, and it will endanger so many species, sir. So I request the Minister to again reconsider this particular provision.
Please conclude.
Sir, just one last point. There are also apprehensions that the State Board for Wildlife would be rendered defunct by the proposed amendment. It is said that the bill intends to replicate the model of the National Board of Wildlife and its Standing Committee. It is pertinent to point out here that the National Board for Wildlife, headed by our Honourable Prime Minister, has not met since 2014. At present, the State Board, by virtue of their composition, are still able to speak in the interest of wildlife. This will no longer be the case if the Standing Committee, once the Standing Committee of the Board is constituted.
Please conclude.
So on the positive note, I would like to say that there is one amendment which talks about better management of protected areas, and this is a very welcoming, amendment. And I hope that it includes the elephant corridors, because my state of Meghalaya has several elephant corridors which are not yet mapped. And I hope that when you are saying that the amendment will improve the management of protected areas, it would include better mapping of corridors and better management, so that the human, animal conflicts that take place are also drastically reduced. With these few words, I would conclude my speech. Thank you.